Alright, yeah, welcome back to some more Magic Arena and back to the most special day of the week for Magic Arena. It is Brawl's Day, my dudes, and we are going to be playing a subscriber deck. This is one that we have actually seen on the channel in the past. Fizzle Sparks played this Calix deck, which is a list we played, I think, when we were playing Garruk Cursed Huntsman for Brawl. And it was a really close game, full of card advantage on both sides, and eventually our opponent ended up taking the victory with this sweet list. So he submitted the deck so that we get to play it today, and hopefully we're going to have a lot of fun with it. I imagine we are. I think the way that we ended up losing was by a mana issue, and Eidolon Obstruction came down and stopped my Garruk from activating. I think the 1 point of mana was actually the thing that killed us. I can't quite remember, to be honest. I think it probably was still a loss regardless, but I remember this thing being very annoying. Anyway, so Calix Destiny's Hand is going to be our commander, a 4 mana 4 loyalty planeswalker. The tick up, the +1, allows you to look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal an enchantment card from among them and put that card into your hand, the rest on the bottom of your library, in a random order. So we obviously have several different kinds of enchantments in this deck. We have removal pieces, we have card advantage pieces, we have creatures, and we kind of have control hate kind of pieces as well. There's a lot of stuff in here, and a lot of control aspects to the deck. It's a little bit between a mid-range and a control deck, I would say. So our enchantments are either value-based, like Arasta or Questing Beast and things like that, or they're kind of control-based with Conclave Tribunals, Elspeth Conquers Deaths, Banishing Lights, Prism Realms, that kind of thing, to basically answer what our opponent's doing, and then hopefully eke out that little bit of value with things like Archon of Sun's Grace, which makes 2/2s whenever enchantments enter, or something like God Eternal Ketra, which makes 4/4s when we cast creatures. So idea is that we're essentially going to flood the board with enchantments and outvalue our opponent. See what we can do about that. If we're falling behind, we have things like Shatter the Sky and Realm Cloak Giant to blow up the world and start from scratch. Obviously, the -7 on Calix makes the board wipes not too terrible, because we get to return all enchantment cards from your graveyard to the battlefield. So that's all removal pieces, all of our enchantment creatures, and lots of stuff. The -3 is also another removal piece as well. You get to exile a creature or enchantment you don't control until the enchantment you control leaves the battlefield, which is pretty sweet. Basically turns our enchantments into Prism Realms-esque kind of thing, but for creatures and enchantments rather than creatures and planeswalkers. Other than that, though, I think the deck pretty much speaks for itself. Very much value-based. Going to be trying to draw a lot of cards, answer our opponent's threats. You want to be using Calix as more of a card advantage engine, I imagine, in this deck as well, so you don't necessarily want to be getting Calix down on turn 3 or 4. We have Gilded Goose and Arcane Signet for that ramp. You don't really want to be getting him down necessarily on turn 3 or 4 if your opponent's board has some sort of way to pressure Calix. You really want to be able to tick up several times before this mad lad dies. But yes, we're not going to waste too much time. The mana base hasn't got anything particularly interesting. Lots of dual lands, Arden Vale to make tokens, Garenbrig to ramp out stuff if we need to. Probably not going to use Garenbrig since a lot of our big end creatures are actually all triple whites. But it's there as an option anyway. You could run Field of the Dead in this deck. Fizzle Sparks has decided not to, probably for the sake of entertainment, which I fully agree with, so, you know. Without further ado, let's do some gameplay kind of stuff, shall we? This video is brought to you by the generous support of our wonderful patrons and channel members that you see here. If you'd like to support the channel and get access to cool content like sneak peeks, bonus videos, polls on future content, or access to a personal deck critique from myself every month, then hit the join button below the video, or check out the Patreon link down in the description below. With all that said, let's get into the gameplay. Oh boy, we are in, and we've got an interesting hand. We've got Omen the Sun, and that's really about it, so I think it's probably a free mulligan here. If we found like a green source, this would be okay, but We want to find answers to our opponent's commander as well. So Haktos, one of my favourite commanders in Brawl at the moment, a 4-mana 6/1, attacks each combat if able, and when it enters the battlefield, you choose 2, 3, or 4 at random, and it has protection from everything except for that number. So yeah, it's going to require us to have very specific answers. We want Haktos to hit 3 every time, so our banishing lights and things really come out and be useful. We've got Shatter the Sky here, which is a decent enough answer to Haktos. It's not a great answer, but as far as 7s go, this one's going to be okay. Alright, let's lead off with... Oh, hello. Let's see. Lead off with the Evolving Wilds and we'll pass the turn. And they pass. Okay, so we are going to go get a green source since we have a double green in our hand. I've already got the double white established anyway. And we could go with Destiny Spinner here. I don't see it really making too much of an impact. Guess you might as well. So we could do like Dawn of Hope and tap land next turn and be just fine. So yeah, let's get Destiny Spinner down. The Haktos deck is typically all about keeping Haktos alive. And then from that point forward, it's a matter of killing anything that might block Haktos. So our opponent's going to have a lot of removal for everything that we play here, essentially. So that's something to keep in mind there. So we're going to go with Dawn of Hope, and we are going to put Temple Garden into play tapped. Hit our opponent for 2, and pass the turn. So we're probably going to be able to play Calix next turn and get that card advantage going. Opponent shouldn't be able to do too much about it. They do have... Haktos coming down next turn, but we have Shatter the Sky, so we're not too upset about that. So let's go Calix. Let's tick up. Whiff, unfortunately. It happens sometimes, you know. Gotta live with it. Alright, so what we have now is a situation where we have a 2 and a 4 that our opponent could potentially not have protection from. So if Calix is around, we can... minus. We need a 3. Okay. That's the one number we didn't want to see. Typical. Alright. Is this a Shatter the Sky situation? I think it might be. Opponent gets to draw a card from our Shatter the Sky, which is less than ideal. I guess we could tick up first and see if we can find a Banishing Light or a... Oh my god, we whiffed again. Jeez. Never really thought we'd have that bad of a situation going on here. Yeah, so we're going to lose our Calix if we don't Shatter the Sky, so I think we're just going to go for it. Opponent gets to draw a card. And then if they get a land, they get to play a Haktos again. But hopefully it lands a little bit nicer on maybe 4 for us. And then we can answer it with a Calix minus. Yeah, I could really do with actually hitting something with Calix. We've ticked up twice now and he's done nothing. That's not a good sign for a Planeswalker. And we got 4. Very good. Yeah, that's an oops. Okay, so we can now get rid of Calix by sticking him under Dawn of Hope. He's not actually going to go under there, I'm assuming. Maybe he does if they've got an answer to Dawn of Hope. Okay. Then straight back to the command zone, and we could go 1, 2, 3. One short of doing most things, so we could play like Guardian Project, so we can start drawing cards off of our creatures entering here. Probably want to go Renata first, because this actually allows you to put counters on creatures. They've got Chandra Fire Artisan, okay. They've got a Light Up the Stage, which they cannot cast right now. Ah, Shock to my face, and that enables the Light Up the Stage. It's a good hit for them. Is that a land as well? It is indeed. And they're going to lose this Solar Blaze. It's not really going to do much. Renata's going to be able to... Actually, Renata would die to itself, right? If they used it. But if they do that, then we're okay, because they're not really doing much else with their turn. I wish there was an enchantment land we could hit. That would be lovely. Alright, so we've got Nylea, who gives cost reduction to our creatures. That could be very useful. Yeah, I think we'll go with Nylea. And we'll play it down. It's not going to enter as a creature, so it won't trigger Guardian Project. But we can make multiple plays next turn, in theory. Oh, Conclave Tribunal. That's a problem. Yeah. And what are we going for? Going after my Calix. Okay. We're going to put him in exile since we got the Knight of Autumn. We can absolutely get him back. Oh, we should put him in the command zone, actually, because we can get him back off the Conclave Tribunal anyway. This line, unfortunately, requires me to kill the Tribunal, which is not going to be a problem in this particular matchup, but in general, it's something to keep in mind. Okay, so we're going to go with Renata. Draw a card. And then Knight of Autumn, putting a counter on the Knight of Autumn from the Renata. We're going to kill Conclave Tribunal. Getting our Calix back. Our Calix could minus so that we can swing for 5 into Chandra. If we do that, Calix is going to die. It's going to die on the tick-up anyway. And she is kind of a thing that we need to answer. Yeah. So I think we get rid of Anax and we get rid of... We'll stick it under Nylea. She's the hardest to get rid of after all being indestructible. And I think we hit Chandra here. Could hit them in the face. There's a lot of damage coming through next turn. And all they do is tick up. Yeah, I think we're going to push for damage. Keeps my Calix alive by not dealing any damage to Chandra as well. And we got a Tristani next turn, who's going to come in with a counter and put counters on the tokens. They've just got Outlaw's Merriment. Not doing a great job of controlling the board here. I lied. There's one of them. Okay. Realm Cloak Giant. Alright, let's tick up first. See what we can find. Elspeth Conquers Death is a good answer. So, play a land. This leaves me with 1 mana. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. Not quite what we need again. So it looks like Calix is going to die to Outlaw's Merriment if we're not very careful here. They're going to have a Chandra -7 though, and I think that's just more important to deal with right now. So let's get rid of Chandra. Don't really want them drawing 7 cards and dealing 7 to me. Yeah, they got the Pinger, and then the 1-2 can finish it off. There's really nothing that they can hit here that doesn't kill Calix, so... Command Zone with ye. He's been quite underwhelming today. We're not going to put Calix into the graveyard for Elspeth Conquers Death, mostly because our opponent could have an answer to this, and if they do, then we're in a lot of trouble. Alright, so they've got a Hakdos on 3. We could Realm Cloak Giant, but we're on 23 life, so we're not really terribly bothered about Hakdos just yet, but we can't block it either, so maybe this is the time to Realm Cloak Giant. I kind of want the card draw, though, and the ramp. We've whiffed on land drops, we've whiffed on everything today. It's not been doing too well. So let's go 1, 2, 3. I think I'm going to go Gift of Paradise on Forest. We're going to decline that because we're going to get card draw off of God Eternal Ketra instead. There's a Banishing Light for the Hakdos. Alright, so now we don't need to wipe the board. We can just Banishing Light Hakdos, play something like Tristani, and have a really good board. We're getting Knight of Autumn back, I think, as well, which is a blocker. Actually, we'll go with Renata, because Renata will make our Ketra tokens 5/5s with Vigilance, if God Eternal Ketra lives here anyway. Scorching Dragonfire. And Jaya's Greeting, okay. So, instead of going to exile, we're going to put that right back in our deck, because I think it's a real good card. And Elspeth goes off. I think we still want Renata. Knight of Autumn's a good answer to Outlaw's Merriment, but I don't think it's really an issue when we can do what we're about to do. Counter on Renata. Draw a card. We've got Questing Beast as well. That's dirty. Alright, we're going to go Tristani. Let's make sure to tap our Field of Ruin. Pumps the squad. Draw a card. We're going to make 3 3s. And then we've even got an Aketra, which I think we might as well play here. Again, we're not that bothered about Hackdos necessarily. Might be overcommitting into a board wipe. It's definitely a thing that our opponent's deck can do quite a fair bit. But mostly they're damage-based. I think the only one that we really care about is like single combat. They're damage-based because if they're not, then Hackdos dies to it, essentially. So they've got like Flame Sweep, Deafening Clarion, which we've already seen. And yeah, it's just single target removal from that point forward, really. And we already saw the Solar Blaze, which deals damage to power, but that's gone completely now. So they're going to hit us for 6. We don't have to worry about anything like Settler Wreckage or anything nasty. Hushbringer. Okay, creatures entering doesn't actually trigger anything anymore. It's not actually a very good combo with Hackdos, because when Hushbringer is in play and Hackdos enters, it doesn't choose a number here, which means the chosen number doesn't exist, so this next line doesn't do anything either, so it has no protection whatsoever. Opponent's going to good game us. I think we've got the game as well. We're going to Questing Beast. We're going to Banishing Light something out of the way. Which is going to be this Rapacious Dragon, I guess. Play Blossoming Sands. We'll draw a card here. We don't want to commit too much to the board. And we will all attack our opponent. Forcing some blocks. And gaining us so much life, our opponent can't really come back. Alright, so Calix whiffed quite a fair bit there. That was unfortunate. I think we just got a little bit unlucky and variance was not quite on our side there. But you can kind of see how in the long game we can really get a lot of snowballing kind of value there. Getting Nylea and a 10-5 Renata, that was pretty good. I really like Renata, actually. I wish she was a little bit better for Constructed, but not so good. In Brawl, though, when you got like a 3-for-1, 3 counters on something like a Tristani, you're in a really good spot. And we even have a 6-6 Questing Beast, which is filthy. So, yeah, let's go for another game. Alright, we are in, and this is going to be an interesting test for the deck. We're going up against Torbran, Thane of Redfell, so somebody just really likes mono red, I guess. We got a little bit of life gain, we got a first striker that does die quite easily, to be fair, but then after that we've got a Rasta with a really nice booty, and if they try to remove it with instants and sorceries, we get loads of 1-2s. So I think this hand's pretty decent, to be honest, and we're going to keep it. Opponent leads off with a Mountain. We're terribly surprised. Shadow Spear is really good for a pickup here. Giving a Rasta a 4-6 with lifelink is very nice. So it's just a matter of speeding through this one, so hopefully we can do that. There's Dreadhorde Arcanist. Don't quite have the answer to that one, unfortunately. So do we go with Bond of Flourishing, or do we just drop down an Eidolon? Eidolon's not stopping Dreadhorde Arcanist, so I think we probably just want to go Bond of Flourishing, get that permanent. I guess it's going to be Gilded Goose. We don't really need lands with this hand. I guess we do need an extra green source, but I don't struggle to draw lands. It's never been a problem I've struggled with, so I'm sure we'll do just fine. And Gilded Goose, as long as it stays alive, is the double green source we need for a Rasta anyway. So we've got Knight of Autumn to gain life or be a really huge creature. It does come down as a 3 toughness creature though, which puts it in a lot of removal spell ranges. especially with Torbran anyway. A lot of things are removal spell range for Torbran. But we'll have to see. I mean, we can play Eidolon, Gilded Goose here, and we'll have some blockers. Tristani's a very good hit as well. It's all a matter of just surviving, I think, here. So let's go with Gilded Goose. If it dies, we've got the food token ready to go to give us some life there as well. Again, the problem's going to be getting rid of Torbran, who's going to be coming down next turn, presumably. But at least Eidolon blocks Torch Courier just fine. Minus the activation, I guess. Omen of the Forge, okay. Pings off our Goose. Yeah, I guess maybe I should have grabbed a green source. Any land's okay, though, with Tristani. I just really need the answer to Torbran, and Calix minus isn't really it. Since Eidolon's really the only enchantment here, and it's very easy to remove. So I think it might just be a case of Knight of Autumn maybe either gaining life or being a big beater here. I needed to be able to kill like an Arcanist in a trade, but don't know if that's going to happen. So opponent's going to play Torbran. Wow, they didn't. They're going all in first. Okay. Green source, please. Gets in with the Torch Courier. Well, we'll first strike it out of the way. I think opponent doesn't know what Eidolon does. Fair, we all make mistakes. Better lucky than good. So we're going to play Erasta now. Which gives me a reach creature and a decent blocker as well. If they try to remove it, we get some more 1/2s with reach. So that Chandra Spitfire is always going to get blocked here. Does opponent read the cards again? Or do they make another mistake? Hovering the cards. They've got a... well, they're doing combat math now. That's 3 points. Doesn't kill Erasta. Erasta kills Spitfire, though. Okay, yeah, not reading the cards. Not a very good showing for the matchup, honestly, but sometimes, you know, opponents just do it that way. Alright, we're going to Calix and get rid of Torbran. It just makes this whole thing a lot easier. Torbran under Erasta. I'm going to get superior value from Erasta being removed, should it come to it. Could also make an argument for just equip Shadow Spear there as well. Play something like Knight of Autumn. Blood Aspirant, okay. And if they've got a burn spell, they'll want to be using it on Calix. I doubt they'll want to push through all this damage here just to deal with him. Because they've got to go through my creatures, and my creatures are bigger than their creatures. Could be an excuse to use a burn spell. Or a pump spell. What could they have for Erasta? Needs to be 4 damage. It's got to be like Lava Coil. I'm taking the risk here, I think. Keeping Calix alive. It does give him Torbran back, though. I think I'll just let Calix die. We'll trade off our Grim Initiate, I suppose. I don't think Calix actually matters all that much, to be honest. I just don't think it's worth the risk. Okay. Goodbye, Calix, to the command zone. We'll get you back later, no doubt. Because we can play something like Tristani, make loads of life-linking tokens, and there's just no issue whatsoever. I guess we got baited. Is what it is. Yeah, I think we're just going to go... Let's equip Shadow Spear. With an extra power and toughness, I think we are very comfortable making most blocks here. And then we've got Knight of Autumn. We're at 25 life, so we're putting counters on this thing. There we go. And we will just delay. We're in absolutely no rush to do anything here. Next turn we go Ketra, Renata, Tristani. Probably in that order. We'll see. So opponent's got to deal 6 points of damage to Arasta now. In order to stop her. Okay. His opponent does nothing. So we're going to go Ketra. Allows us to make loads of 4/4s. And play Temple of Plenty. Let's see. We got Shatter the Sky. I mean, that's basically a panic button that I don't need right now. So I'm going to put that to the bottom. And what do you do? Sacrifice a creature enchantment. Deals 1 damage to target creature. That creature can't block this turn. Whenever you sack it, put a 1/1 counter on it. Yeah, let's go with Knight of Bottom. Start pushing. Opponent's probably going to want to fire off this Omen of the Forge eventually. We're on just such a high life total at this point that it really doesn't matter that our opponent can swing back at us. Like, they can spend their whole turn playing Torbran, I suppose. Then I can just play Calix and get rid of it again, and at that point Torbran just isn't worth the effort. But I think even if they did play Torbran here, I wouldn't remove it with Calix. I'd just play Renata and make a 4/4. We're going to stick Shadow Spear on God Eternal Ketra though, and we're going to gain 8 life on double striking damage. There's no way our opponent can beat that. Act of Treason. Alright, we make a 1/2 that we can use to block Ketra. They do have the aspirant to sack a Ketra, but they've just given us the blocker as well, so it's not a big deal. Yep. I don't really gain anything by doing this, except for getting it off the board as a removal spell for the aspirant. It's really about it. +2/+0, and I get another 1/2. Okay, so now it's dealing 0 damage, but more. Very odd choice for them. It doesn't have trample. I think our opponent's a beginner. They still have the mana. Now they don't. Alright, they're making a 4/4, and I get my Ketra back. Yeah, really not great play there. Alright, so Renata. Move the Shadow Spear over to Ketra. And get in with a Ketra. 8 points of lifelink, please. Trampling, all that jazz. This is really what they wanted. Yeah. Alright, so really good test, I guess, of the deck, minus the misplays from our opponent for sure. I think there was no way, even with those misplays in mind, that they were winning that game. What would they have had? They would have had a Rimrock Knights Plus, which wasn't going to do anything at 25. They'd have had a Spitfire, which even at this point in the game was still not going to be getting any damage in. What else did they do? It was really bad. Oh, they ran a Torchbearer into an Eidolon. Again, wasn't going to make a difference. I think we were winning that game, punt or not, from our opponent. So it's a good enough sign, I guess. But could have done with better exemplar. But, you know, here's what it is. Next game. Alrighty then, we're in, and we got a cool commander on our opponent's side. I think this is a cool hand, so we're going to keep it. Opponent with Nikia of the Old Ways. 5 mana 5/5 says you cannot cast non-creature spells, and whenever you tap a land for mana, add 1 mana of any type that land produced. I actually find when I've played Nikia that I need to splash blue for things like Hydroid Krasis, so it's going to be interesting to see what our opponent can do with a Nikia here. All creature tribal, effectively, from our opponent's deck. So, should be interesting. We're going to go turn 1 Gilded Goose, as is tradition. And see where we want to go from there. Opponent with the Evolving Wilds. Come on, land drop. I want to turn 3 Calix. It's definitely going to be ideal for a hand like this. So, yeah, let's just go with Bond of Flourishing. Try find a land drop here. And we got Arcane Signet, but I would opt for a Field of Ruin over that, to be honest. And everybody knows Sending a message, super important, so we're going to get in with the Gilded Goose. If you don't send a message to your opponent, how are they going to know that they're going to lose? Alright, so we've got turn 4 Nikia coming up. We have a turn 3 Calix, though, so should be okay. As long as we can get an enchantment down next turn, we should be able to answer it in no time at all. So we get an Ominous Sun. I'm not sold on this card. I think it probably needs to be cut. 2 1/1s has just never really looked all that great. There's probably more enchantments that you could really look for here. They're useful. Opponent with Clothis. Okay. We get God Eternal Ketra. So, missing a land drop. Got Prison Realm, though.
Clothis, show me my path.
So they can exile a land out of their yard to get that ramp. Clothis versus Calix. Battle of the Ages. I really want this Questing Beast online. But I guess I've just got to go for Prison Realm on Paradise Druid. Keep our opponent off of Nikia next turn. Castle Gerenbrig. There we go. We have a land. And we're going to pass the turn this time. We've already sent our message. So they're getting rid of Bond of Flourishing instead of the mana. I actually couldn't have stopped them with Paradise Druid there, because as I mentioned earlier, they could get rid of their Evolving Wilds. But it looks like they had a tap land and couldn't do it anyway. Voracious Hydra, X1. Just a 2/3, eh? Alright, so play our lands. Don't care about a 2/3. Get Elspeth Conquers Death, which is a solid pickup. Does that change anything here? I think we still want to get in with Questing Beast. I think it's important we start beating our opponent with something powerful. If they play something like Domri, then we've got definitely a way of defeating it. So they get the extra mana, they play Nikia. Looks like they might not have got their land drop here. So, lucky us. We've missed our white source land drop, so we can't Elspeth Conquers Death. We can minus to put Nikia under Prison Realm, which is likely not going to happen since they'll put it back in the command zone anyway. I think that's maybe what we're doing. Kinda sucks, but it needs to be done. I don't want them doubling their mana up and playing for more X spells. So let's resolve that. And I think we might be going for Selesnya Locket, just so that we have Elspeth Conquers Death ready. We got 3 mana, so we can Omen of the Sun then, at that point. Which is not terrible. It's not great, but it's not terrible. Oh, I should have equipped Questing Beast with Shadow Spear instead of Omen of the Sun, actually. Should be swinging in for 5 lifelink, but we'll flash in the Omen. It's not the end of the world. You never know, we might want Omen of the Sun. That is a God Eternal Ronus. Plus Voracious Hydra at 4 power. So, gonna go Omen of the Sun. And instead of trading off our Questing Beast here, I think we're just gonna go triple block, because we don't care about Gilded Goose right now. And this stops all 4 points of damage, keeping Calix on 2. The first Iroan Games. Give me something good with Calix, please. Conclave Tribunal, that's not bad. Yeah, more removal, the better.
Look skyward and receive the gifts of the gods.
So, let's see, we got a Vigilant Questing Beast, we can Tribunal the God Eternal Ronus, leaving us with 2 mana to work with. I think actually we go first Iroan Games there into Conclave Tribunal, get rid of Ronus, swing for 4. Opponent's not interested in waiting out, I guess, but that was actually a pretty crucial turn for us to wait, so shame on them for scooping early, I guess, but, you know, got 3 wins. Alright guys, well that's going to do it for today's video. Sorry it's going to be a little bit short, but I am running late today for many different things. So hopefully you guys enjoyed today's deck. If you did, let me know what you think of it down in the comment section below. Make sure to hit the like button and subscribe as well if you do enjoy the content you see here. It helps out the channel a great deal. And without further ado, I'm going to end it off here. Take care guys, have a good night.